Hello and welcome. So I thought, seeing as though it's we're halfway through August, I've watched a few releases, new film releases from this year. I thought, we're 7 months in. Let's just do a ranking of the films I've seen that have been released this year, um, and then perhaps I could do one at the end of the year. I thought midway point, I've watched 21 films, so I might as well. They're stacking up thick and fast at the minute, actually. Okay, so I'll go from least favorite to my most favorite film so far of 2023. Coming in at number 21 is Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin, I was very excited for before it came out. I hadn't read the novel. I think it's called The Cabin at the End of the World. But hearing that like M. Night Shyamalan was going to direct it and put his spin on it, I got really excited. I thought he's going to add some, his trademark. Although I didn't know the book, I knew that he would add some. Well, I thought that he would add some, crazy narrative with a wrap up that's just like you know mad and bonkers like the rest of his filmography. I don't actually know if he did that, but the film is not for me. No, it just wasn't. Didn't draw me in. It wasn't exciting enough. Didn't do enough to sort of like compel me to sort of like ponder it afterwards. I just thought it was yeah, I really wasn't interested in it. Coming in at 20 is Across the Spider Verse. It's very low on the list. I did not like it. Not on the hype train. Along with other people, I think because the original one from I think 2018 was so good. It was amazing, and the animation style was just mind blowing. I think a lot of people go in with one the expectation of they want it the second one to be good, and two I think they carry because the film because a lot of people are not do not think that the film was bad. They're taking it away that the because they enjoyed it so much because of that nostalgia and go back into a world that's reliable, same animation style, same characters. They're just getting more of what they love. I just didn't feel that the story was like epic enough to warrant like a part one, because it's only a part one and it's I don't get excited to go to the cinema to see like Easter eggs and references, and I don't jump up and down if I see a character that's appeared in another film. I may have done um, when I was younger. But no, so yeah, that didn't do it for me. And there's a lot of messages in that film about like teenagehood that just sort of like didn't. It rang true. It was what a lot of teenagers like. I just don't think that's a great message because teenagers are going to look up to Spider Man and carry on like he was carrying on. And I didn't think he put a great message across. Well, the writers anyway. So coming in at number 19 is 65. It's the Adam Driver led action film set in like Earth, where dinosaurs rule the world because it's like a sci-fi film. Um, it's low on the list, but I did enjoy the film actually. Um, it wasn't what a lot of us was expecting. I don't think we really knew what to expect based on the trailers. We thought it was going to be like more action packed. It was more of like a more of a slow burn is being used overly used. It's just more of like an isolated story between like a little girl and Adam Driver's character. I thought it turned out pretty well. Coming in at 18 is The Lair. Um, the Lair is from a director, from the director of Dog Soldiers. If you're all aware of Dog Soldiers, it's a tremendous werewolf film from I want to say like 2003. Um, and I haven't seen. I think he brought out a film a few years back called The Reckoning, which also stars the lead woman in this film, but I haven't seen it. I would like to after watching this film. I'd like to watch more of her filmography. She's also got a new film coming out called The Duchess. More like a I don't know if it's like an East End London gangster film. Um, so I'd like to watch that. Yeah, The Lair. It's low on the list. It's like low budget. It didn't have a great big budget. Um, uh, Action film, sci-fi, big sort of like people in costumes as aliens, sort of like monsters, aliens that like get sort of breach the surface in the desert after like there was a little bit of a skirmish between soldiers and they find this sort of abandoned like Russian lab. It was good. It was decent. just didn't do enough, to sort of like say like this is like a must watch. Um, Coming in at 17 is Evil Dead Rise. Very excited for this film. I love the franchise. It's probably, up until this film, it was the most consistent horror franchise ever. Um, for me. But Evil Dead Rise, it's sort of like, um, I don't know, it rehashed a lot of the original, just, transplanted it into them, like, the 2020s. And I just feel like my biggest gripe with the film, because there is a lot to love, I love the performances. I think the mum, she done a tremendous job, especially being in the makeup and like the voice, and just, she done a really effective job. The little girl, she was amazing. I just think being in a block of flats, apartment bit complex, I just feel like they could have went so much further with that. They could have had a bit of demons. It's an Italian film. They could have had a bit of demons to it. Yeah, I just didn't think it did enough. Coming in at 16 is Operation Fortune. Now, unfortunately, this film was meant to come out either months or years ago. Um, but politically, people held it back because of certain real life events that were happening. Um, it did come out. It came out on physical media in Germany. Also come out in streaming. I enjoyed it. Again, Bugsy Malone. He's in another Guy Ritchie film. It's really it's surprising, but like great to see like a hip hop star sort of like getting into like and not just having like a bit part role, like trying like getting stuck into like these plots. Um, yeah, Jason Statham doing his thing. I enjoyed it for like the performances. It just didn't sort of like it wasn't. I don't know. The plot got very muddled, and it just could have been a lot more than what it was. The plot just muddled itself into twisty snakes, and it just that ruined it. Um, Funny at times. There was a certain moment where they're chasing the dude at the top of this. Someone goes up an elevator. I won't say, but for those of you who have watched, once a guy goes up the elevator and Statham's chasing him, the thing that happens after that is like my favorite moment of the film, and the dialogue consequently. Coming in at 15 is they cloned Tyrone. This is a Netflix produced film, I believe, but it's a Netflix original anyway. You've got Jamie Foxx. You've got your man from Attack the Block, John Boyega. Is it John Boyega? I think it is. You got the female, not sure of her name, but yeah, really good. I didn't have any. I don't have any hopes for Netflix originals, but I do go into some of them. I do watch some of them, especially if they boast the names that this one did. And yeah, they clone Tyrone. Like the dialogue is so funny, so witty. They really had a good time with the dialogue, especially Jamie Foxx's character. The style of it, the swagger, uh, the soundtrack, the plot. I really enjoyed the plot where they went with it. Actually, I did. I felt like it's sort of the direction could have sort of like in the third, like the last third, they could have the direction could have steered it to make it a really sort of competent film in the end. But I just feel like it fell flat. Coming in at 14 is Super Mario Brothers. Didn't see this in a cinema. Picked up on Blu-ray. Wasn't overly hyped for it. But like it's a very like I bet the kids love it. It's really snappy. Like it's an hour and a half, and that just flies by. Would like to see it again to see if where I stand on it because it just went by so fast. But and it's generic. It hits all the sort of marks that would suit the widest audience possible. But what I take away from the film is that like it's great for like little girls to watch that like Peach does her thing. She isn't held back by any guys. She just kicks ass right from the get go, even in a dress and high heels. Like she just does her thing. I thought that was really great to see. With decades of having damsels in distress, and no, Peach kicks ass. We could have had more Luigi. That's probably what my biggest problem is. Okay, coming at 13 is Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear is brilliant. Love it. Really funny. Um, Plot wise, could have been more to it, more complex. The ambulance being chased away and then the doors opening and what happens after that is like terrific. Um, the performances, your famous man's son that stars in it is the lead. He's good. Like watching him in whatever he's in. Yeah, really enjoyed that film actually. Coming in at 12 is Scream 6. Unfortunately, I had high hopes after Scream 5 because I liked Scream 5. I certainly liked the kills and the digital effects. But then Scream 6, they just like, they should have, you should have pride in and work on your craft and then like build up. If you can't, super, what's the word? If you can't exceed, um, the work you did in 5 for the digital effects, you should at least go on par, go on level with the digital effects. And I just felt they were a bit lazy. They didn't do as much hard work as they did in Scream 5 with the digital effects, like blended with the practical effects for the gore. The plot is probably like, the weakest one with Scream 3. Um, yeah, but happy to see some like Kirby return and some faces and whatnot. I think they should have killed more characters off. Certainly, it's too safe. Okay, so coming in at 11, Gran Turismo. I was pretty excited for this film from prior to its release. I was like very very eager to get to the cinema. It was a day one release for me. Um, it just I don't want to say it just didn't do enough. It didn't exceed my expectations. It didn't like blow me out of the water. But so yeah, I haven't got much to say on it. But I guess I really enjoyed the performances. I enjoyed the story. I kind of enjoyed what they did with like the whole sort of like blending like a PlayStation game into like a film, like with the car falling into different bits and then coming into itself together with like the computer graphics and whatnot. Kind of enjoyed that. I didn't like. I think maybe perhaps they thought it was going to be more sort of impressive than what I thought it was. What I do take away from that film is um, there was an action scene on a racetrack towards the end, and it was just one of the most horrifying, like shocking, sort of like devastating action moments I've seen in a while. Man, I wasn't expecting it to be that brutal, and it really was. Yeah. Coming in at number 10 is Creed 3. I didn't think I would be praising like the Creed trilogy as much as I did prior to like the first one's release, but I really like them. Michael B. Jordan does a terrific job, and like the writing and like all the villains that are like he has to come up against all three are like really good. Um, this one I like the rivalry, two friends. Um, he's like a real good adversary for him. Actually, I do think. Yeah, and especially with like the the sort of new idea of what they wanted to do in the ring for the final battle, switching up the that boxing fight. Number 9, Meg 2, The Trench. Watched Meg 2 really recently. Fun, on par with the first one. Um, yeah, they had moments where they wanted to have sort of like more. It was never scary, but it was in like the trench, like underwater. The film sort of slows down, but it never gets any. It never like taps in. If you're gonna do that, if you're gonna slow down the film and have a bit more like sort of like um, levity to it, you should actually make it a little bit more scary. So it should be pretty scary, but it wasn't. It was never scary. Although there was a bit where one of the characters does get attacked, and that worked, but it was all for a split second, and then everything feels a bit safe, and then they get in trouble, but Jason Statham's the man, and that's so is that 2 Jason Statham films I've seen this year. That's good. More Jason Statham. Um, I enjoyed a Meg. I enjoyed a Meg too. Um, it didn't blow me out of the water, but fair play for like involving like not just returning with a Meg. You return with multiple Megs. You return with other sea creatures. You return with a kraken. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Number 8, just ahead of that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. Um, that was a day one for me. Cinema viewing. Happy to see the franchise return. Happy to see it return for the form. I love the ones from the 90s, with the real actors performing in suits. But yeah, and I even enjoyed the ones from the 2000s. But this one is like using like a really cool animated style. That's gonna be like the new popular style of animation now. It was really good. I enjoyed that the voice cast because it was like youth voiced in the cast. So it sounded really appropriate for the turtles. I think there should have been more skateboards. Yeah, they honed in the pizza and the pizza stuff worked, but there should have been more skateboards for sure. And the final battle didn't work for me. I just didn't feel like that should have been the wrap up for the film. Having Jackie Chan as Splinter now is like I really enjoyed it, but I never would have had him for Splinter. Number 7 is The Passenger. Um, Kyle Garner leads this film. He plays this guy that sort of he's working in like a burger restaurant, a fast food place, opposite this really quiet dude that's also working there with a bunch of other young people, and this young dude he sort of like takes a lot of crap from everyone. He's very quiet. He's very like is placid the right word? And Kyle Garner's character is like the total opposite to him. He's like violent, volatile, says what he thinks. He's like just waiting to burst. And they go on a sort of like a road trip together of discovery and inner discovery. And Kyle Garner's character is poking and prodding this quiet lad throughout the whole film, in his effort to, in his own words, to sort of like to help him. But what he's doing is very violent, very criminal, very um, he's not a very law-abiding citizen, and he's dangerous. And it just escalates and escalates and escalates. And there's one particular moment of violence that's very horrific, but it works for the character, it works for the film, and it's like a pivotal moment for that character. The Passenger was a great surprise for me, but anything Kyle Garner does is a must-watch. Coming in at number 6 is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Although I think the plot is very weak, very like it's not as like cool as what the writers think it is. Um, but just the fact that like the film is really good despite the plot. Like I could even have this at like my favorite film just because of the cold open alone. Like that beginning scene, pre-title sequel, pre-title scene in the submarine is some of the best. That's like some of the best underwater stuff I've seen in years. I love that. I can't wait to watch that again just for the submarine stuff, the stunts, um, Haley Atwell, all the females in this film, like the tank across the city chasing the people. Like there's a lot to love about this film. It's just the plot is just not what they thought it was, you know. But everything else is great. Coming at number 5, The Wrath of Becky. Now, I haven't seen the original Becky. I've heard it's really good. No wonder it got a sequel, but this sequel is tremendous fun. I've got it at what, number 5, ahead of all those other films. But I love that kind of film. That's my favorite kind of genre. It's action horror comedy. You know, she's on a vengeful path. A bit like a la John Wick. And she kicks butt. She kicks what do you like neo-Nazi butt. She really goes in. Kills a really sort of playful. Yeah, really good. I can see myself rewatching this again and again. Okay, number 4. See, this is like Oppenheimer. I must say that it very much moved me in the cinema. Christopher Nolan is a tremendous filmmaker. He's had some stumbling blocks. The third Batman film, and other films that I don't particularly like, whereas other people do. But Oppenheimer, I mean, it's Cillian Murphy is one of my favorite actors. The cast is brilliant. I don't know. He chose to, I don't know, after the nuclear, like the nuclear explosion. Um, then there's like a whole hour of sort of like politics where the Oppenheimer is trying to like perhaps not necessarily clear his name, but he's in a legal fight of having his name tarnished as someone who's against the state. I mean, do we need that for a biopic? Should it have been more about like the Japanese? Should the Japanese have actually had more of a, there wasn't a single Japanese person. I know that obviously clearly is not what Nolan's going for. He's going for the man Oppenheimer and his life. It's his film. He chose to do what he wanted, and the studio gave him full reins. Clearly, I don't know. It's a very like it's probably I'm gonna have to ruminate on that film for years because I don't know. It's a touchy subject. Really, that's an understatement. Oppenheimer. It's just, yes, it was a tremendous film, but not because of the plot, if you know what I mean. Just the filmmaking. That's what I'm praising, and the acting. But the plot, they made decisions to not involve the Japanese and to not involve they involved the fallout of having Cillian Murphy see like his mind being being in this horrified state after the fact. I did like that they had that, seeing like the corpses on the bandstand and stuff. Yes, but I don't know. He chose to do what he did with Oppenheimer, and yes, I was very moved in the cinema experience with it. But would I have liked to see a different plot? Yes. Um, Number 3, John Wick 4. It's the fourth John Wick, and they're continually bringing bangers after bangers after bangers. John Wick franchise is amazing. Can't get enough of it. I'm sure, like, if they continued with them, there could be a stumbling block. They could get very lazy with it. But if they continue to like switch up the gung fu, and have it where it's not just the same old shooting people and then dodging people and then having bulletproof suits, if they continue to reinvent it and make the gung fu gunplay like fun to watch after seeing 4 of them, then then yeah, they're doing a terrific job. And they did that with this one. It's a very long film. Would like to see it again. I didn't love the blind character like everyone else did. There's things I didn't love about this film actually that other people like really praise, but I just love the action. I love his character. I love the arc. I love how mad it gets. I love the world building. Maybe we'll return to like all the hotel stuff again. He didn't really, yeah, like the hotel amnesty and all that was pretty cool in the first 3. I know they've already done that 3 times, so yeah, it's probably right to move on from that. But yeah, and like the main villain, he was dry. But yeah, just John Wick, and yeah. Number 2, Sisu. Watched this recently. Sisu is tremendous. I knew it's one of those films where you just know you're gonna go in and really enjoy. Um, it's really fun. My one film was holding me back was like, will the digital effects, will they take away like the brutality and the epicness of it? And no, it didn't. Thankfully, like it's a one-man wrecking ball show. I think the dude's from Norway, perhaps, or the film set in Norway. It might be Norway. I could be wrong, but Sisu is the film to watch, guys. Like, if you like gore, if you like, seeing people get blown up, revenge film. Critics say there should be a little bit more like substance to it, but listen, it's this dude going on a rampage, killing Nazis, and he really does. The female involvement, the female characters, that is one thing I will say where like I knew that they would be involved at some point, and when they do get involved, it just goes to show that like they really like they stole the show. They were really good. Really enjoyed those scenes. So yeah. And my favorite film of the year so far is Polite Society. That's another film where I knew I was going to really enjoy. Um, and it's something I'm going to watch time and time and time again. Polite Society is my favorite film so far of the year. It is yeah, it took me, it was a bit like not confusing but a bit jarring seeing how like the style of what the director went for, when like the fact that like these characters are fighting, like how a musical, you'd have like a musical number just out of the blue. This was the same style, but instead of like them singing, it's them fighting and then going back to normal. It took me a few scenes. I never fully sort of like, by the end I got on board, but I think that's because by the climax they were meant to fight anyway, regardless of if it's real or not. Or the musical reference I'm trying to make, like spontaneous. But no, Polite Society is so much fun. I love the dialogue. I love the characters. I can't get enough of Polite Society. That is my favourite film of the year. That is my biggest recommendation. If you've never heard of it, or if you've heard of it in passing and just not taking any notice of it, that is something that needs to be on your radar. Thank you very much.